All right, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome and thanks for joining. My name is Ryan Lowe, and I am building an Alexa skill. I work for the Amazon Alexa team. I'm a technical evangelist, and my job is to educate and inspire developers to go build with Alexa, and particularly Alexa skills to run on Echo Show devices and other devices as well. So I'm live streaming. I've been live streaming for about 6 weeks now. I'm building out a custom skill that I hope to launch and publish and use in a real use case. And part of my job is to teach and educate developers on how everything works. And so part of that is I need to learn how everything works and stay up to date. And so I do that by building. And I decided I might as well live stream that. So what am I actually building? And I only have an hour today. I do have a meeting right after this, so I do need to get right to it and get going. So what am I building? I am building a custom skill that will allow us to index and, well, first transcribe, then index office hours videos that we archive on YouTube. So every Tuesday, co-host and I, Jeff Blankenberg, we get online and we stream to multiple different platforms: Twitch, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and we are there for office hours. Developers sign on, they ask questions in the chat, we answer them, and it's a great hour. And if you have questions about anything about Alexa skill, come join, and we'll try to answer your questions the best we can. We then, at the end of each of those episodes, the hour-long episode gets archived inside of our YouTube channel. So we have hours and hours and hours of footage from office hours where we're answering, hundreds and hundreds of questions. The problem is, if you have a question and it's not Tuesday morning, then what do? You could go to the YouTube video archive and watch hours of YouTube videos hoping that your question gets answered. But that's problematic. There's no way to easily find which video you need to go watch. So I'm building a skill that will pull down the videos once they get published in YouTube, and then run them through a variety of services to end up with a searchable database of all the different videos, questions, and answers. And then I'm going to create an Alexa skill to go and query the database. So the end result will be doing something like, show me from office hours, where Jeff and Ryan were talking about dynamic entities. And it will, if you have a screen with a device, then it will zoom to that point in the video and start playing. Otherwise, it'll just play the audio. But the idea being, it would zoom right to that point through the hundreds of hours of videos. And I'm just going to also pull down other videos as well that we have on the YouTube channel. We have a bunch of other, like a Tech Talk series where we have different lectures and so on. So I'm going to try to consume all that as much as I can and go from there. So I've been building this. I've been starting with the back end. I do have a repository. It's linked to my Twitch page. So I am open sourcing this. All the source code is here. I'm using several different tools to make this super easy to deploy. So I'm using the Serverless Application Model Framework, which sits on top of CloudFormation. So anyone can just download this repository, run SAM, and deploy this into their own infrastructure, their own AWS cloud environment. So anyone can deploy this exact same infrastructure. But it also has all the source code, so anyone can just jump in and start seeing how this all works. I did build a proof of concept of this last year, so I know that this is possible, but I don't have the full architecture mapped out in my head. I didn't do weeks of planning to figure out where I'm actually going to go with this. So this architecture diagram is nasty, but it is kind of being built in process, as we go. I will go back and clean this up and make it a little bit more legible, but I'm just adding to it as we go. So that's why it's kind of a mess here. And again, I've been working on the back end pieces. So starting from getting a signal from YouTube, which actually comes from a service called pubsubhubbub, which we're going to work on today. That signal comes in, hits API gateway, comes into a Lambda function, and kicks off a state machine. So I'm using state machines to orchestrate this entire process. I love it because it allows me to do as much as I possibly can in serverless technologies. Everything but my database is currently serverless. And so what I need to do is I pull down the videos, I then convert them to a different format that an Amazon transcribe can read. That then goes through, it will pull out all the text. I then run it through comprehend, which helps me pull out all the different entities and key phrases. And then I store all that into my database, which is Amazon OpenSearch. And I also am following a blog here that I found a few years ago that has this kind of inspired me. It's the same use case, but with a podcast instead of what I'm doing with YouTube videos. So I'm borrowing a lot of their code, but then converting it over to or rewriting it so that it fits better in my use case. Someone just pinged me. I had to answer them. So anyway, so let's jump into this and see where we left off. So where we left off, let me go back to my architecture diagram. At the end of last session, I had completed the OpenSearch database, which is a bunch of architecture that needs to be deployed, a bunch of resources in CloudFormation, I should be specific. And that gets really complicated because that is a stateful thing. So it's a database that's just running. I now have a cluster of one node that's running all the time in order to handle my requests. I'll have to scale that up when this goes into production, but for right now, I'm trying to keep it as cheap as possible. Everything else doesn't cost me anything until I run it, except for the database because that's running 24/7. Where I left off was I had updated my state machine to write records into the database, and I can show that. So here is my CloudFormation stack. Let me just open it up. It's getting really complicated. You can see there's now up to almost 50 resources being deployed. But let's look for the state machine. I want to showcase that first. So again, state machines are what I'm using to orchestrate everything. The last one failed. The one before that did go through, and that's the one I was working with. I don't remember running this again. Oh, I remember this now. Okay. So it basically gets down to the very bottom and writes records into the database. I didn't rerun the entire thing, so it failed at the actual last step, which is writing stuff into the database. And the exception was something that I fixed. But I didn't rerun the entire thing. And actually, let me do that so that by the end of this session, we'll have this going. So I'm kicking off a new state machine. So it's going to run through. This whole process takes like a half hour, 40 minutes because it's downloading the YouTube video, it's converting it, transcribing it, and making sense of it. So state machines is a really great service that allows me to kind of have these long-running things going over time. And we're going to build a new state machine today. But let me jump to like my database that has the search results. So here, oh no. Let me just sign in here. I thought I'd already signed in. I need to, my username is now, that is not the right, I bet it's this one. There we go. And I'll go ahead and save that. Save the login. Okay. So this is the OpenSearch dashboard. It used to be called Cabana, which is where I got that username from. But if I come over here, so this dashboard is separate from the actual search database. They're two separate things. And in production, you have these running on two separate instances. But it allows me to manage my entire database. So I'm able to come in here and look at my indexes. There's indexes here. You can see I have two indexes. One where I'm indexing paragraphs of text, which I'm hoping to get like each paragraph of text will be like one question and answer. And then I'm also indexing the entire episode database. But I'm also able to come in here and there's a way that I can just interact with the by running queries directly. And so if I do a search of just like all the episodes, you can see here, here is each of the records. So here I'm storing a bunch of metadata, but also the entire transcript of the episode, which is really quite impressive. It's able to pull down all these other words. But I don't necessarily want to just, if someone says, hey, show me an episode, I just saw Yoda popped out in my head. show me an episode about Yoda. Like this is the very end of the episode, so I don't want to have to like have someone wait 45 minutes of watching the video in order to find it. So I also have another index for paragraphs. And just to show you an example of what this looks like. So this is kind of each paragraph of text. So here's like, this hopefully represents one question. And again, transcribe and comprehend are doing all this work for me. Here's like one paragraph, and then here's like different tags or entities that are in there. And then these are my key phrases that were pulled out. And then I'm able to search. So what I'm doing is I'm actually searching off of these key phrases. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do the searching. But what I'm trying right now is just searching off of these key phrases. And as an example, if I were to come back and type in Yoda here, so this is a search. This is one search in the database, and here this is Elasticsearch or OpenSearch syntax. You don't need to worry about this too much, other than like I'm searching the key phrases, which is a nested object. I'm saying I want to match on the key phrases text, which is this thing. And I'm going to say use the score. So the score is something I get back from comprehend. It says that there's 0.995% chance that my slot machine 1 was a key phrase in this piece of text. So use that to help me boost my score of the searching algorithm. And I'm just going to say bring me back 10 results. So if I run this, it should find me that Yoda phrase. If I come over here, Yoda figure. Yep, there it is. It found the exact paragraph. So I know the exact paragraph. I know what video it's in. And if I come down here below all these different tags, I know the start time. So I know this many seconds, I think it's seconds, into this video start playing, and it'll start playing that paragraph. I can't wait to get the skill going to showcase this, because it's going to be really, really cool to like be able to zoom into any particular point in time across, all the different videos. So I can't wait till we're getting to that point, but we will get there maybe in a few more weeks. There's still some stuff I need to do to clean up the back end. And one of those things is what we're going to work on now. So what I have, just to kind of recap, if I go back to my architecture diagram, I have everything set so that when a new YouTube video gets dumped into our channel, I will get notified. It will kick off that state machine. It'll download, transcribe, run through comprehend, and into my database will be the fully indexed transcription and all the different paragraphs, and I can search it. Super, super cool. One thing I realized is that this service here that I'm using, it's called pubsubhubbub. You create a subscription. So I say, here's my API gateway callback URL. Here is my YouTube Atom feed that I want to subscribe to. Create a subscription. And then whenever a new YouTube video gets posted, that pubsubhubbub will call me with that new information. It works great. The issue I ran into is that the subscription only lasts about 5 days. I'm not sure if it's always 5 days, but it seems to be 5 days. And so I don't want to be manually doing this every 5 days. So what I designed here, and we're going to build, is another step function, a state machine, that will maintain this subscription. So it's going to renew this subscription every 5 days. And I want to get into that right now and start building it. So we're going to build, it's going to be pretty simple. It's one Lambda function and a state machine that makes outbound calls. So I think we're going to go ahead and get started on that. So this is my and again, I have to end in about 45 minutes. So I'm going to kind of go through this fairly quickly. It should be a pretty simple state machine, hopefully, and we can get it done quickly. So I'm going to come down here. This is my other state machine, and I'm going to build it down here. So let's create a new section for this state machine for pubsubhubbub. And I do have, here is the information. So I found this YouTube API page which talked about, this is what the Atom feed looks like. It says to use pubsubhubbub. So I went there, I created, this is a subscription I've already created. you create it by passing in these parameters. I will update my super secret key. My dog's name is Lexi. But this is kind of all the information we need. And I found like the spec for pubsubhubbub, and like how to actually send the subscription requests and how to get them back. I did notice that it's a little different than this. Like one of the things I found out is that it's not a post; it's actually a GET request. I just apparently had probably an Amazon package delivered. That was that notification. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow the spec, but I think it's going to be a little bit different. And so these seem to be GET parameters, like in the URL. So we'll go ahead and figure out how to do that and get working on that. Okay, so first thing I want to do is I want to create a Lambda function. So I'm just going to grab one of these. It's already a Python. This one's fine. And we'll come down to this section here. Down here. I'll call it pubsubhubbub Lambda. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy one of my other Lambda functions. This one will be fine. So we'll copy, we'll paste this, and then we'll rename this to pubsubhubbub. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a new source structure that Sam will go and build this entire folder and then compile my Lambda function. So I'm telling Sam to say the code lives in the folder Lambda pubsubhubbub, which is where we're at. It's going to be a Python. My entry will be Lambda handler. We do need some parameters so we can pass in environment variables, but those aren't the environment variables we want. So the first one we need to pass in is actually, we don't have a variable for it yet. It'll be the YouTube Atom feed. So what I'm doing is I'm saying, creating a new parameter to the SAM template, but I'm giving it a default value, so I don't have to specify it. And it is going to be the topic URL that we're going to pass in. So this is the feed to our channel for Alexa developers. I also have a YouTube channel ID here. I probably could combine it all into one, but let's be very specific about it. Actually, no, let's not. Let's use this YouTube channel ID. So we'll come down to the bottom here. So I'll just reference that parameter. And then the other thing that we need is we need the API gateway endpoint. So I believe we get that as here. I'm already specifying it. So it's the API gateway is another resource that I'm creating. So really, the URL is I want to pull it from the resource, from the API gateway resource, so I have it explicitly. And I think this matches up. Yes, it does. Okay, so I will just take this and pass this directly into my Lambda function. So I've already computed that this is the URL I need to construct to receive requests. I did this previously when I set up the API gateway. I went ahead and created this URL. And to be clear, what I mean by this is when I deploy my CloudFormation set, one of the outputs is already this URL that I constructed, and it should match exactly with this. So I previously, when I created the API gateway, I said I need to figure out what the URL is so I can manually paste it in and create the subscription, not knowing that it would only create the subscription for 5 days. Great. So now this Lambda function has these two parameters, which is really what it needs. Oh, but it also needs the secret. So I'm going to pass it in here as hard-coded, but I will update this because I think I want to use secrets manager for that, and I probably want to come up with like a random string. this is obviously not super secret, even though I said it is. Okay, so statements, it does not need S3 access. So these are the permissions the Lambda function gets. And it doesn't need transcribe start, but what it will need is the ability to kick off a new state machine. And I have that example. If I come up, my current, so this is the function that gets called from the current API gateway. And it is able to trigger a state machine. So we want to copy that. I'll show why in a minute. Oops. Okay. This we need to update. So update this. And actually, maybe I'll just go ahead and create that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a state machine now. Let me copy this state machine. Actually, let me copy the whole thing. And then I'm just going to get rid of a bunch of this because we don't need any of this anymore. Okay, so this is my current state machine. We're going to start at a wait state. So I already know that, so I'm just going to and then the next step is going to be, it's really a two-step state machine. So I could probably just do something like this. So that ends that bracket. There's probably a better, I keep saying this every single time. There's probably a better way to do this. I'm creating my state machine definition in JSON, which then gets put into a string inside of a YAML file, which is not really like super ideal. Pubsubhubbub state machine. So now I'm going to say reference this. So what I'm saying is this Lambda function, when it executes, has the ability to list, describe, and start this particular state machine. Okay, so, and then my Lambda function, and it's going to be the same exact Lambda function. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a Lambda function that will execute, and it'll go renew the subscription, and it's going to get back from that, like how long that subscription lasts in seconds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick off a new state machine, which the first thing it's going to do is it's going to wait for that many seconds, and then it'll call the exact same Lambda function, which will renew the subscription and then call itself. So it's going to be kind of a loop. So I'm going to be, the state machine will always, like there will always be a state machine execution running, but it's going to be mostly waiting for 5 days, then run a Lambda function, then wait, then a new one will be kicked off and wait for 5 days. I could do this in a loop where I have a loop where it says wait 5 days or however long, executes a Lambda function, then go back to the wait step. The problem is state machines can't run forever. They can run for a very long time, but they cannot run forever. So this is a little bit better way because now each state machine will only run for 5 days or however long at one particular time. So that's exactly what I'm doing. So the Lambda function is this guy, and then I can delete all these other parameters from my copied above. And then I do need to update the role. So this is going to be role. So now I need a role for this state machine, which I'll just again copy the details of it from up here. So this is the role that when the state machine is executing, it's able to take on. So it gets this role gets assumed by state machine, and then it has the permissions to invoke a Lambda function. So I just like, is this going to cause a problem? I don't think so. So this will be able to run for, I am going to have a cyclical dependency problem here. Okay, that's totally fine. So the way we resolve this, so the problem is CloudFormation won't be able to create this because it's going to create this Lambda function. It's going to analyze this and say, I have a dependency upon this state machine. And then the state machine is going to, it's like, okay, we'll do the state machine first. And it's going to try and run that. but state machine is going to say, but I have a dependency upon this Lambda function. And if we were to try to deploy this right now, it would actually fail because of this circular dependency. So the way we get around this is I'm actually going to pull this policy out and make it its own IAM role. So I'm just going to create a new IAM role. So by default, Lambda or the SAM allows me to do this a lot easier, where I don't have to specify. So in CloudFormation, I'd have to be doing this the entire time. So I would be always creating the Lambda function and creating the role for the Lambda function as two distinct resources. But in SAM, it gives me the convenience where I can just kind of tie that together. And maybe it would actually solve the let's actually see if it will solve that. Okay, never mind. I'm thinking that maybe this won't be an issue because this actually is a separate resource where the dependency is. So maybe this will resolve fine. Let's try this and see if it works. 50% chance I think this is going to fail, but we will find out. Actually, this goes down here. So this is going to be refresh subscription. Wait. I need to find out what the wait variable is. So there's two different types of waits. You can do like a wait for like a specific amount of seconds, but I actually want to wait a dynamic amount. So you give it a JSON path for how long I want to wait. So there, I'm going to wait, and then next will be refresh subscription. Ooh, come on. There we go. And then this is going to be end true. Is that how you specify it? Yes. Really short state machine, but it's going to run for a long period of time. So the state machine is going to need one input when it gets kicked off, which is the seconds to wait, which is what we get from our response of calling pubsubhubbub. So we can come over here. There's another method where we can check on the status of the pubsubhubbub, but I don't think we need to do that. I think we can just rely on these two. Okay, so this is the code. This is copy and pasted code, so I need to delete like all of it. But I always copy and paste it, so I have like my logging and other stuff set up how I want it. But we can do this. So the return val that we know we're going to need. Oops, that's not how I spelled it. I need seconds wait. Actually, I'll probably return everything, but I'm just setting that up. Okay, that's actually I'm a little bit off here. So what I actually need, okay, I need to look at the Botto3 definition for calling a state machine. And actually, I already have this code. So from my YouTube API, I'm kicking off when I get a new YouTube video, I'm actually kicking off a state machine. So in this function, I should have this. So I have, I also need a state machine URL. Okay. So what are my parameters to this? I just realized from looking at the other one, I also need state machine ARN, which should look like, what does that look like? It's just the reference to it. Okay. So it's not that one, it is this one. So if I reference this resource, it'll give me the ARN back, which I need for my function. So I have YouTube channel. I actually like that name better. YouTube channel, and then my callback URL. Okay, so now my function has the 3, I need secret as well, 4, environment variables. And okay, so then to actually trigger this is how we trigger the state machine. And this is where I put the seconds wait. And it looks like I need to import JSON. Okay, so here my client is the step functions Spot03 client, state machine URL, your ARN is that. The input is seconds wait, which is what the first wait step needs. So that all looks great. Log the response. Perfect. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need the logic to actually go and refresh the pubsubhubbub subscription. And if I go back to this function, here I am parsing an Atom feed, so I don't have an example of that yet. I am not extremely fluent in Python yet. I'm getting better, but let's look at Python 3 trigger get request, because that's basically what I need to be doing. Okay. This looks perfect. Just nothing fancy. Let's put this up here. So make a request. I do need to get the URL of this, which I believe is so this is why I think it's a GET request, is because of things like this. So what is the URL for the actual subscription? I believe it is actually, so if I try to call right now, get a subscription, what it does is it posts back to itself. I thought it did. Let me look at this again. Preserve log. What is it actually doing when I click this? Where are the parameters going? I thought it was... What kind of request is this? Okay, the other piece of information I have is by going to... Okay, whenever new content is added, notify the hub. This is how it's notified. Subscribe to feed. Yeah, I think it's just this URL, but then all these different URL parameters. So let's put this in here. Okay. And then the URL parameters, if I go to the spec now, these are the different URL parameters that I need. But I also want to look at Python 3 encode get parameters, or encode URI. Perfect. I know that can be done in one import statement, but it's fine. Okay, and we'll test all this random code that I'm copying and pasting from the internet. Okay, so the first one is hub.callback, and this is my callback URL. So it should be just this. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do this. Call safe callback equals that. And then what I can do, let me make this an F string, and I can do and, what was it, hub.callback. Equals, then I can do safe callback. The next parameter is hub.mode, which is subscribe. So I want and hub.mode equals subscribe. Hub.topic is the next one. And hub.topic equals, I don't have this yet, but it'll be safe topic. So now I need to create safe topic. Which will be my YouTube channel, but it's actually the full thing. So it will be, let's do that. So it will be an F string of this with YouTube channel at the end. So that's save topic. Okay, next variable is going to be least seconds. I'm going to leave that optional. And hub secret. I am using the hub secret. I'm not using it to the full, like you can do a full validation to make sure that all the incoming requests match who you think it's coming from. And I need to do this, but I haven't done it yet. So that should be fine. Oh, that is the wrong place for that. What did I do? I keep pushing that button. That goes down here. Hub secret. And secret's already, I mean, it's safe. It's not a problem. Okay, so now I'm going to do a logging.info on URL. Let's make sure that's tabbed in. And then let's do logging.info on contents. And what I'm not entirely sure is what the contents response format looks like. So what I may do is I may just comment this part out for now and deploy this and see what this looks like. Yeah, because I think the response should have the least seconds in it. So if I get the least seconds back, it should be fine. I'm not entirely sure if this is a giant. Well, we could actually. Let me do this. Python 3. Let's just do this. It's quicker than deploying. It's a callback URL. Normally, I would deploy this and just see what's see what's breaking and all that. Here, I don't want to do that. I want to just. I don't want to waste the time deploying it, is what I'm getting at. So I'll just test it locally, which is what I should be doing anyway. I should never just be deploying and testing. It seems like a bad asking for problems. Save topic. Okay, so now I should be able to get the URL. Oh, secret's not defined. You're right. My super secret phrase that I need to change. Oh my gosh. debugging's not. I don't even need to do that. Let's do this. Okay, so let's see what happens when we actually call this. Gotcha. We get a HTML response. That's not exactly ideal. Does it have the data I need in it? I don't think so. I think we also need to call the status one. So the status one subscription details is what it's called. Right, because this doesn't have this is just the form that you'd get. Yeah, this is just the same exact form that you would get on the web page. So URL 2, let's create a new F string here. The channel or topic. And then safe callback. Okay, so let's cool, that looks right. Now, oops, I actually want to put that lower. So here we're going to what are we doing? Resubscribe. And then here we're getting the status. So let's do okay. So this has the data we need. It's just, oh, but I got a bad response code. It looks good. Where's the bad response code? Last verification. Oh, last verification error. Yeah, okay. That was from a while ago. Is there a way to get this in like a response that's readable? System may validate the hub's verification of intent. I don't want to have to like parse this HTML. That's what I'm wanting to avoid. way to get like a JSON response? Hey, sorry, I just now noticed you're on. Thanks for joining. Sorry about that. Yeah, so what I'm doing, you'd have it like ping me or something. I am working on an Alexa skill. Big goal is I'm working on an Alexa skill that will allow me to archive YouTube videos, index it, and be able to do a search and find like points and times of different YouTube videos. So as a use case for this, I run office hours every Tuesday with a co-host of mine, and we answer questions, and we have these hours and hours and hours of YouTube videos where we've answered all kinds of questions, but they're largely like inaccessible. Like if you had a question, you would not be able to, no one's going to sit through and watch hours and hours of YouTube videos in order to find an answer to their question. So I'm creating a system that will pull down, download those YouTube videos, and transcribe them and index and search them. And ultimately, so I work for the Amazon Alexa team. Ultimately, I'm going to build a front end of this will be an Amazon Alexa so that I can go to one of my Echo devices and say, show me from office hours, like YouTube videos, where we talked about X topic, and then it'll go and start playing the YouTube video at that moment in time. So that's what I'm doing. I've been building this for the last like 6 weeks. So it'll probably take me another 6 weeks at least. And right now, like what I'm hyper focused on right now is this subscription from YouTube to notify me when there's a new YouTube video available. So I'm working through what does this subscription look like. I'm basically calling these APIs to renew the subscription, and I'm setting up a system that will automatically, like every 5 days, go and renew the subscription because the subscription does expire. So that's what I'm working on. Not super exciting today, but I do have a repo where I'm publishing all this code so anyone can download and play around with this, and maybe index their own YouTube videos and create searchable databases out of it. So that's what I'm working on. Thanks for joining me. Right now, I am trying to figure out if there is a way to get JSON back when calling this service to renew the subscription. Oh, cool. Yeah, Python. So you said you got a Python course and starting to watch the lessons. Awesome. I'm newer to Python. I originally was a PHP developer. Then I moved into JavaScript. Then I moved into C#, and then I moved into Java. And like I'm just starting Python, so I'm forcing myself to program in Python because I need to get better at it. And I like how readable Python is. So it's a great. Some part of my job is to create assets that other people can follow along with. So I like Python for that because I think it's able to really easily like tell a story of what I'm trying to build and show. So that's what I'm working on. That's why I'm choosing Python, and that's why I had to like look up every single Python method because I'm not necessarily very comfortable with what I'm doing. So right now the problem I ran into is I'm calling to subscribe to a new subscription, and I'm calling to get the subscription details so I know how long that subscription will last. So then I need to determine when to kick off to ask for a new subscription again. The issue is the response I'm getting back is like HTML, which is great, but I don't want to parse HTML to get to how many seconds. And if we look in here, part of this I thought was, maybe I'll go back to this page. Like this is the exact same thing that I'm getting. Part of this should tell me like when the subscription expires, expiration time. But I thought I got it in seconds as well, which makes me want to go back to that first. Let me do this. Yeah, this doesn't tell me least seconds. I'm trying to get to like, it should tell me how long my lease is on that subscription is what I would like to get to. And I'm not getting that answer back. What I'm getting back instead is the actual date, which I can that's fine. I can parse this expiration time. I was hoping they'd give me like number of seconds so I could just work off of that. I could also just make the assumption that it's always going to be like 5 days worth of seconds, right? Because if you look at this, last time I did a verification, it was Monday. So the between these two things was what, 5 days, right? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 5 days. So I could just do like 5 days and maybe I'll just do this, 5 days in seconds. So I could just always wait 432,000 seconds, and just to verify 432,000. Can I do this plus 5 seconds? Nope. Okay. But it's 432,000 was the amount of seconds. So let me just hard code it for now because I don't want to start. Parsing through HTML. So, okay, so what I'm doing here, so here is, so I'm just gonna actually do this. So I'm using AWS, I'm using step functions. So what I'm doing here is I have a Lambda function that runs Python, and this will go and renew the subscription. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kick off a new state machine, which this Lambda function is in. So it'll then kick it off, it'll wait 5 days, and then run the Lambda function again, renew the subscription, kick off a new state machine instance, wait 5 days, and so on. And I think I'm at a point where I can deploy this now. It has all the logic that I was looking to put in here. I'm gonna leave this in here just a reminder that I should probably check the status to make sure it's accurate. I need to check the status, but I'm not gonna worry about that today. I do have, so I got a meeting I jump to in just a few minutes, so I'm trying to rush through and get something. So let me deploy this out there. So great, that's awesome. Total fail. This is a state machine. Oh, what failed there? 832. What just blew up? Oh, that's the wrong indentation. And all these are indented wrong. This is a YAML file that's defining. So this YAML file defines the architecture that I'm going to be deploying. No, actually, it needs to be. That's what the problem is. I had the wrong indentation the other way. So all that needs to be indented to there. So this is using CloudFormation to deploy all my AWS resources. I think that should work now. There we go. So now I'm using SAM framework from AWS to build all the functions and deploy them up. Okay, so you have a question. I wanted to ask you, there is any plugin like LiveShare Extension Pack VS Code, but dedicated to Mac, so that the files are in the cloud and not in the host computer, so the student can easily change directions. I'm not familiar with that exactly, that extension pack. And I do use a Mac. I use the AWS, hold on. No, don't ask again. So I use the AWS extension, which should allows me to pull down the Lambda code, right? I'm able to invoke, update. I'm not actually sure. So normally, my mode of operation while this is deploying is to do this. So I define all my code locally. I can then put it in GitHub. I can version control it. And then I use something like CloudFormation or SAM to push the code up to the cloud and muck with it there. So then I always have my local computer, and in GitHub I have like the source of truth. This failed. And the reason why I do that is because like it's so easy to get out of, if you're only writing code in the Lambda console, I find it very easy to like lose changes and kind of get lost and forget like the history of the entire project. So I will go in the Lambda console and do some debugging, but I try to author my code locally and then push it up. Okay, so we have a failure here. Failed reason, circular dependency. I was worried about this. I called this out earlier. I have a circular dependency upon my Lambda function and my state machine. And I knew this was going to happen, but I thought I would try it. So the problem is my Lambda needs permission to kick off the state machine. My state machine needs to reference my Lambda function. So that's where I have like a dependency issue. But I can separate this pretty easily. So I can just define my role separately. Does that answer your question? I mean, not entirely answer your question. I'm not familiar with that. And that's not the way that I kind of do my workflow. But I hope that doesn't just, I wasn't trying to just blow you off with that question. Sorry. This needs to be pumped in again. Where's path? Is path on the same as policies? Yes, path is in. Cool. Okay. Oh, this is indented too far. Man, my indentions are like way off. Okay, so this should be Lambda. And then now I need to have my, so I need to update my SAM. Let me just do this. I'll just search for, this will get me right to the documentation. So I'm looking for the documentation where I specify an external role, which is what I thought. It's just role. So this should get around the circular dependency. So I just basically, I'm not using the simple syntax that Sam has. I am breaking it out explicitly so I can get around the circular dependency. Now my Lambda function has no dependency. This should work. This should work. It did not work. Okay, so pubsubhubbub Lambda role, state machine role, Lambda. Oh, I didn't think I had a circular dependency there. The other thing is, I've done this before. Ooh, and I got to run. Sorry, I got to run. I got a meeting I got to run to. I just need to pull out the policy from the Lambda role, and then this will work. I'm probably going to do this in a couple hours so I can check this in and get this working, but you'll be able to watch. I'll be back Wednesday morning and Friday morning. I stream 3 times a week. Follow along and follow my GitHub. I have tons of Python code in there. I might take a look at the live share extension pack for VS Code. I'm curious now what that is. I've just never actually used it. I got to run or else I'm going to be late to this meeting. But thanks for watching and hope you had fun. All right. Thanks.